Welcome to a new episode of Worlds Collide. I'm Viktoria, I'm your host. My voice is a little raspy today. I guess it is the season of not just Christmas or holidays, but also of good old colds. So, this week, my guest is Tracy, and she went through big life changes. I mean, of course, not just location-wise, because she's originally from China and now she's in New York City. And we'll talk about that, but also about career-wise and expectation and culturally speaking as well. So stay tuned for that. And then also, thank you for reaching out, dear listener, and clarifying what the name of the French Christmas dessert is. It's bûche de Noël. Oh God, I don't know if I pronounced it correctly. I did not want to butcher it, but maybe bûche de Noël. I don't know. Sorry for not saying it correctly, but it translates into the Yule log. So much for that. And now I just wanted to let you listen to my conversation with Tracy. Here it is. All right, my guest today is Tracy. Hey, how are you?
Oh, hi, I'm good. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Of course. Thank you for reaching out to me and being a guest on my show. So let me ask you first, where are you right now?
I'm in New York City.
And you told me in your first email when you reached out to me that you lived in 6 different places around the world. So how long have you been now in New York City?
Yeah, I left home at 16 and lived in 6 cities around the world. I just moved to New York City 3 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And so the interesting thing about my journey is a lot of these relocation were triggered by an unexpected opportunity. So each time I just give myself 90 days to try to see if it will work. And now after 22 years, 3 different countries, 6 cities, and I've made my home for myself in places all over the world. And now I'm in New York City working as a relocation coach, just helping other people to do the same, to build that sense of home no matter where life is taking them.
Is 3 years one of the longer places where you've been?
That's a good question. I feel like it's in between. The longest place I've stayed for is probably Shanghai and Hong Kong. I lived in each of those cities for 7 years, and then I was in Vancouver for 4 years and Toronto for almost a year.
So why did your journey start? Why did you move to a new place in the first place?
Yeah, it was actually started when I was 16. I grew up in a small town in Northeast China.
Uh-huh.
And so when I was 16 years old, when I was about to graduate from middle school, and my dad just saw this news online. One of the top high schools in Shanghai, they were
Uh-huh.
opening enrollment for students from other cities. So they were hosting this exam, and there were about 5,000 applicants. Eventually, they selected 90 of them, and I was one of them. And I didn't
Uh-huh.
expect that. That came as a really nice surprise. So that just gave me a month to prepare.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's how I started my journey.
Okay, so you got into the program then.
Yeah, so that was something I didn't expect it, but my family, they were really supportive. They think it's a really good opportunity because
Yeah.
Shanghai has better education opportunity. So I was really excited before I go, even though that means I had to take 29-hour train on my trip because that was like
That
22
is
years
long.
ago. It was like a really long journey for me. And yeah, but that's how I started my journey. And even at that time, my family gave me this other option. They said you could just try it for 3 months. If you didn't like it, you can always come back. We have local school there. It doesn't matter. And so that's kind of my mindset. I just give
Mhm.
myself some time to try. And but eventually, I stayed there for 7 years, which is
Okay.
something I didn't prepare.
Well, but 16 is also very young to then go off by yourself
Yeah, a
so
lot of
far
people said
away,
that.
wasn't it?
Yeah, a lot of people said that, especially a lot of people at that time, they didn't really believe in me. They said, especially you're someone who is really shy, you're introvert, are you sure you can really do this? They think people
Uh,
who move to a new country are usually those who are really outgoing, they're extroverted. But for me, I had really different personality at that time. But I
mhm.
think the other part of me always know that I'm always a very resilient people, even at
Mm-hmm.
16 years old. Especially when I decided something, I will always follow through. And so that's how I started that journey.
The journey. Okay, so and then how come that you moved further?
Yeah, that was a good question too. So after graduating in a college in Shanghai, actually I didn't plan to go further. I
Uh,
wanted to be in China at that time, and then my mom said like you could try go somewhere else just to see what the world is like. If you don't like it, again you can always come back to China.
mhm.
It's a really good opportunity, especially now you're graduating. You can get a master degree somewhere else to test it out. And then I was just thinking maybe I should just try Hong Kong or Singapore because they are closer to China. It's
Sure.
different, but they're closer. So I just picked Hong Kong also, kind of by accident. What I didn't expect is after I got in Hong Kong, I really liked the city. So
Mhm.
everything in Hong Kong is aligned with what I envisioned. And so I was really excited and I was determined to find a job after graduation. And so at that time, I was also very driven, ambitious. I thought I'm going to build really good life in Hong Kong. One day I'm going to get a high paying corporate job, achieve financial freedom. And my goal was also to get married with 2 kids at 30 years
Okay,
old.
sure.
Yeah,
Yes.
so that's all I
Uh,
wanted at that
high
time.
goals.
Yeah. Until I was 29 years old, life took a twist, and I was going through a lot of transition that year. Went through a divorce, financial
Mm.
losses, death of my grandma.
So
So yeah,
so the whole opposite of what you had planned.
yeah, exactly. And not only didn't I achieve what I planned, I also lost everything I was building up to that time. So that
Yeah.
was really devastating for me. And
Mhm.
so again, that triggered another relocation. At that time, I just thought I need to go somewhere else, even just for 3 months. I just need a break.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure where to go. A lot of countries, you need a visa to study there or work there.
Mhm.
But then I talked to one of my friends, and he just said could try Canada because it's very easy to get a permanent residency. You're qualified. All you need is just 3 years working experience, master degree. You speak English. I feel that was hard to believe at that time. It couldn't be so easy. But then I
Mhm.
tried it. I did get the permanent residency. I feel
Okay.
like that was a really good opportunity. So again, I just think maybe I should try it out. I give myself 3 months to see if it
Okay.
will work.
Yeah. And so where did you land in Canada?
At that time, I had two options, either Vancouver or Toronto, because I love big cities, and I thought that
Oh,
those
okay,
would be
sure.
my option.
You cannot go
Yeah,
from Hong Kong to, like, whatever, like, Edmonton, something small. So you had to go,
yeah,
like, big. I mean, probably also, like, just in comparison, Canada's bigger cities are small in
yeah.
comparison to Hong Kong.
Absolutely. So I'm a big city person, so I thought either Vancouver or Toronto, and eventually I ended up in Vancouver because it's warmer and it's also closer to Asia, and so
Sure, yeah.
I chose Vancouver eventually.
Okay. So do you remember, like, what the greatest differences were in the beginning when you got there?
Yeah, actually, definitely a lot of differences. Because Hong Kong is very crowded. And Vancouver has a lot of space, a lot of nature. It really gives you time to really reflect on your life. I feel like Vancouver really give me the pace to really slow down, to
Mhm.
rediscover who I truly am, what do I truly want out of life. But when I was in Hong Kong, life was always really busy, and I had a lot of
Sure.
distractions. I was focusing on the external world versus in Vancouver, I feel I really had that space to really focus on my inner world. And that's how I started a spiritual journey that truly transformed
Mhm.
my life.
Mhm. Was it also part of the different culture? Because as you said, like, you had, like, everything very career focused, like, set goals in mind, and then the culture coming to, Canada or the Western society, has not the same values?
Yeah, absolutely. So before I was 30 years old, I feel like I was living from my conditioned self. So the conditioned self is what other people expect you to be, the life you should have. So I was really like driven, ambitious. I wanted to hit my goals. I want to achieve
Yeah.
everything that looks good on paper in terms of
Yeah.
career, finance, relationship. And until I was going through those transitions and moved to Vancouver, I feel people there really had very different values. They focus a lot more on nature, family, relationship, community. And so that just gave me a lot of space to rediscover what do I truly want, what's really meaningful for me, regardless what other people's want or the societal's expectations.
But that doesn't come overnight. That takes time.
Yeah, absolutely. So at first I thought I was gonna stay for 3 months, and but eventually it turned into a 4 year spiritual journey, and I never planned to be there for 4 years. But a lot of things happened, and now I look back, I feel like I really needed that 4 years because that's
Okay.
give me the time to complete a deep transformation.
Sure. So, what does that mean for you, the spiritual journey?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I think spirituality could mean different things for different people.
Mhm.
For me, it's all about how you create your inner world, how you respond to your inner world, because I feel the external world is just a reflection of your inner world. Everything in the external world is like a hologram. If we really tend to our inner world, focus on our thoughts, our emotions, our mindset, and then eventually those things are going to manifest in the external reality. So for me, I feel like we don't want to change the reality to change how we feel. We want to change how we feel so that we can change the reality. So if we create a really rich inner world, and then everything in the external world is gonna align with that.
Mhm. Okay, so and this is also then why you started working as a relocation coach?
Yeah, definitely. Again, that was kind of also triggered by something unexpected because again, before my trip, my relocation, I was always working in finance, and I never thought I would become a coach or be
Yeah,
in the
yeah.
wellness field. But at that time, I met one of my best friends in Vancouver at a spiritual meetup group, and the first time we had a deep conversation, and she just said, "Wow, you were really good at this. You sound like my therapist." And at that time, I feel like I couldn't believe it. What does that even mean? So I began to search on Google, what does a therapist does? What a therapist do? And so that just triggered my interest. I think this is interesting. I might be interested to explore more about that. And the more I explore, the more I just feel this is just my nature. I feel like it's my innate talents. Like people always come to me when they need comfort ever since I was a child.
Uh-huh. And so in the beginning when you came to Canada, you still worked in corporate then?
Yeah, so I actually transitioned from corporate to remote job when I moved from Hong Kong to Vancouver. So at that time it was they also gave me 3 months. They didn't know whether the remote work could work. So
Yeah, yeah.
they wanted
Uh-huh.
me to try 3 months. If you can make it work and then you can stay. Otherwise you will have to find other opportunities. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's how I transitioned from corporate to remote. And eventually that also created space for me to do what I love and live anywhere in the world.
Okay, but also, like, there's my question, like, when you come to a new place and you work remotely and you're, like, new to everything, like, how did you find community?
That was a good question. So I started networking before I even moved to Vancouver. I talked to all my coworkers in Hong Kong, and they introduced me to their friends in Vancouver. But after meeting those people in Vancouver, I felt like I still felt pretty lonely, even though
Mhm,
those people are really nice, friendly. But I just felt like emotionally disconnected.
mhm.
And then I discovered there are actually two types of loneliness. So we have the social loneliness, which means you're not being around with people, you don't have anyone to hang out with. And then we also have the emotional loneliness. So the emotional loneliness is the missing of deep connection. That means even when you are around with people, you still feel lonely because no
Yeah.
one really knows your story, no one sees you. And then that's my turning point when I realized what I was experiencing was emotional loneliness. So I just kind of take a pause instead of meeting more people, going to more networking events. I just want to really sit with myself, connect with
Mhm.
myself. That was the first time I allow myself to just sit in silence. And that was the first time I feel this self connection. And
Mm-hmm.
eventually I also start to like approach other activities with an open mind. I was not searching to meet new people. I was just searching for activities I was really interested. And that's how I came across that spiritual meetup. Like I didn't expect I would meet
Right.
anyone, but ultimately it led me to the best friendship I've ever had in my life. So that's my journey. Like when you least expect it, you really find the best things.
Okay. So it was just like so first you got there and you got connected with other people that you knew through other people, but once you knew that they are not your kind of people, you just had to reset yourself and then like find your own way in.
Yeah, absolutely. So I feel that's a really sacred pause, I would call that space. This is where you feel like you kind of need to reconnect with yourself to discover what you truly want. Because
Mhm.
again, I believe in spirituality. Before you manifest friendship, relationship in the external world, you first need to be confident about who you are, and you need to be clear about what you value and what lights you up, what are you passionate about. And once you get clarity on those things, and then when you go to the external world, you're gonna attract like-minded people, because I think good friendship come to your life through attraction, not through chasing.
Mhm. So, and besides your relocation coaching, you are also a somatic practitioner. So, tell me what that really means.
Yeah, that's a good question. So I combine relocation coaching with somatic practices. Somatic practice is a body-based practice. So we start with the body because we believe the emotions they live in our body. So often when we experience grief or loneliness, especially when we just move to a new place, we tend to overthink, overanalyze. We try to override those emotions. But the truth is the emotions don't disappear just because we understand them logically. The body needs to complete the cycle of activation. So in somatic healing, we use breath, sound, movement to help our clients really process those emotions so that they can eventually release them. And then they can come back to a place of regulation and clarity where they have a clear mind, open heart, a turned on intuition.
Mhm. So, and how do you combine this with the relocation coaching?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I started my journey as a life coaching. So I help my clients with their mindset, setting goals, time management. And I did help a lot of people achieve success until at one point, a lot of people, they're looking for something deeper because
Mhm.
sometimes we don't just want success. We also want fulfillment, something
Yeah.
make our heart peaceful. So that's how I began to explore other modalities. What else do we need to really allow ourselves to open our heart, and so that we can find that deeper place of peace within us. And then
Mhm.
it also came to me by accident. Just one day, I began to search on YouTube. I was interested to know what breath work is because I think that's
Uh-huh.
a really interesting thing. I always want to understand more about that. And then I just follow a 5 minute breath work YouTube video, and within that minutes, I just feel my emotional state was completely elevated. Was the first time I feel this aliveness in my body, and I feel this is so amazing. I want to learn everything about it. So I started like doing training in breath work, and then that led
Mhm.
me to somatic coaching. So yeah, it's a really interesting journey. I feel it's a so magical tool we can really use to really find that deeper place of fulfillment, peace, and clarity.
Yeah. And how do people find you if they want to reach out to you?
Yeah, so I have also a free ebook on my website. It's
Yeah.
tracyzhang.com. It's all about exploring the emotional journey of relocation using somatic healing breath work. And yeah, anyone can download that on my ebook. And I also work one-on-one with my clients. Again, it's 3 months program because I started my journey with
Oh
just
yeah.
3 months.
Always coming back to the
Yeah,
90
so
days.
yeah, I know how much can transform, can change in 3 months. So I'm super passionate about helping other people to do the same because even 3 months, a lot of things can happen and a lot of things can change.
Okay, and I make sure that people will find it in the show notes too. So there's a link to Tracy's website, and on the website there's also the ebook, and also I saw on your website also blog posts.
Yeah, I did. Actually, I started my journey as a writer. So about I think 6 or 7 years ago, I just had this passion about writing. I want to share my journey with everyone. So I started a blog post just sharing my journey, how I moved from Hong Kong to Vancouver, and that attract a lot of audience who also want to
Oh
move from
yeah.
Asia to Canada. So that's when people began to follow me, and eventually some of them became my life coaching clients. So that's how I
Oh,
started
cool.
my journey.
Yeah, but it's also like I'm always thinking like, wow, what a big contrast. Not just from the culture. No, yeah, it's from the culture, but like from your career standpoint. You know, you are like corporate and finance, and now like more on the spiritual side. It's So was this also like how was that transition for you?
Yeah, that
No,
was
because
actually. Mm,
sorry, because it's probably also like it took you some time to I don't know to I don't know if it's the right word accept it or like to come to minds to terms with it.
yeah, you definitely you just like definitely click with my heart. It took me a really really long time to come to a place where I can accept that's exactly the word, and accept and surrender, because at the beginning I thought I was gonna build another career in Vancouver, maybe also in finance. I was gonna chase the old goals, and it took me 4 years to come to an agreement. That's not my path. Maybe that's what my mind, my ego wants, but my soul has another purpose. And so it took me 4 years to get that to that place. In between, I was going through a lot of identity shifts. Like I wanted to go back to Hong Kong at one point. I thought maybe this
Mhm.
was a mistake. I was really disappointing. But on the other hand, the other part of me said, you don't know yet. Maybe you should just keep going. Especially I had a really good friends at that time. They give me a lot of encouragement and support. My friends kept saying this to me, like the reason you're going through all these struggles is just so one day you can help other people who are on the same journey. And that just gave me a lot of faith. So eventually after 4 years, I came to a point where I make peace with the past, and I was
Mhm.
also ready to move forward. And that's also how I made a decision, like moving from Vancouver to Toronto, because I didn't really have any a logical reason. It just felt like Vancouver has fulfilled its purpose in my life. Now it's
Okay.
time to move on.
Okay, so it was just you just felt it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so why did you choose Toronto?
Yeah, so that was during COVID. So basically, the world
Um,
was shut down. You cannot go anywhere else with outside the country. So again, I was
sure.
still a big city person. So because at the beginning I had either Vancouver or Toronto, and I tried Vancouver already. So maybe the next is just Toronto, and I
Mhm.
was really open and curious to see what that is. So I just chose Toronto.
And why is it that you only stayed there for a year?
Yeah, because I think the long-term plan is I wanted to go somewhere else. I feel like I never feel like belong to Canada. I feel Canada
Uh,
served a really important purpose in my life. I learned a lot of good things, but part of me just feel like this is I want more of out of life, like more
sure.
than that. Like I want to explore more about the world. And deep down I knew there is somewhere else I can go, and I want to go. It's like my soul was leading me. And so eventually when the COVID ended, one of my friends just talked to me. She said, each time when you talk about New York or London, you just feel like you light up. So why don't you try it? And so
Yeah.
I was thinking, yeah, maybe I should do that. Let's just try New York for 3 months, and then maybe I could move to Europe too.
So yeah, I was just like I wanted to say like okay, like now you're in the biggest city in the West, so like you cannot go bigger at least.
Yeah, this is also really interesting. So I came here for 3 months initially. And then I thought I was gonna go to Europe. But during those 3 months in New York, I really love it. Like I feel like the energy was aligned with my internal world. I feel like
Uh-huh.
everyone was so open, so welcoming, because this was very different from the first time I visited New York. The first time I
Sure.
visited was probably 6, 7 years ago. I was on a business trip. At that time, I felt no, this was too much. I felt a lot of stress, anxiety. I didn't like it, and I didn't imagine that I would like it the second time I came here, because I was a different person. And this goes back to the
Mm.
spirituality. I feel when I change on the inside, and the external world began to look different. And I'm really grateful that I came to New York at the right timing, because I wouldn't have enjoyed it if I came here earlier.
Okay, so what is it that you like so much about New York City?
Yeah, so the best thing about New York City is I feel it's the openness, because there are a lot of people from all over the world, and
Uh-huh.
people share similar background, and so it's really easy to meet new people. There are so many events you could go, so many activities, like whatever your hobby is, you can always find something you like, and it's so easy to talk to people as well. Like people are willing to share their stories, and maybe it's just my experience.
But was it ever, or did you hesitate about moving somewhere else because you had to start all over again, like with making friends? Or was there something that held you back or that you doubted?
Yeah, absolutely. So each time I feel to navigate relocation is to navigate grief. Each time you move to a new place, you have to experience loss, the loss of belonging, the loss of identity, the loss of familiarity, the loss of friends, family. So that's a really, really tough experience everyone goes through when they relocate to a new place. And also
Mhm.
the loneliness. Initially, you don't know anyone. You have to rebuild everything from the scratch. That is why it's so important to process those emotions. Like a lot of times we try to override it them, we try to stay busy or distract ourselves. But what I've found really powerful is to really just sit with those emotions, give yourself the permission to feel, use your breath, use even sound movement, whatever you can do somatically to release those emotions. And then we can come back to a place where we feel more grounded. And from that place, it's a lot easier to like rebuild your life, whether it's building your career or meeting new people, because I feel think you will attract those opportunities into your life once you work on the inside.
Okay. And that is very helpful. But I also, because I think I always blame it on my culture because I'm German and I always want to know all the technicalities. So and New York is just this crazy, insane, expensive place. So like, how do you start, or like, how do you find a place in New York that I don't know? Like, it sounds so hard.
Yeah, yeah, I get that definitely. So that's why I feel like I came here at the right timing, because I also had the opportunity to relocate to New York when I was 29 years old. At that time, I didn't like Hong Kong, and my boss said, "You, if you didn't like Hong Kong, I could move you to either London or New York." But at that time, I declined those opportunity. I chose
Hmm.
Canada. Again, financially, I feel it's a lot more expensive to live in New York City or London, and also lifestyle is always very busy, very crowded, and maybe it's hard to meet people. Like a lot of people would have that experience.
Yeah.
But after those 5 years deep inner work in Vancouver, a lot of things have shifted. So I transitioned from corporate to remote work, and I didn't expect that remote job really work well. It really helped me unlock a lot of my potential. So within those 5 years, I was able to triple my income, and eventually
Oh
had
wow.
the freedom to do what I love, live anywhere in
Hmm.
the world. So that's why I feel like 6 years later, when I moved to New York, I was a different person, whether it's financially, professionally, or personally. I was in a much better place to navigate this new environment. That's why
Hmm.
I feel a lot of time we probably need timing and patience to make things work.
Yeah, for sure. Also, like, if you always say like you always move at the right time, so you always kind of move when your stars are aligned.
Yeah, yeah. So that's I feel a lot of those decisions were guided by intuition. Again, my
Mm,
mind sometimes has other decisions because the mind will always want you to maybe follow what other people do, following trends, or just do
yeah,
what looks
yeah,
good
yeah,
on
exactly.
paper, right? The mind will want to keep you safe, but your intuition will always want to expand you. It will want you to take some risk. Maybe you don't know why it makes sense to make this move. But after 5 years, when you look back, you'll begin to understand the deeper meaning of that. And again, intuition speaks through our body. So this is also part
Mhm.
of the somatic healing, because a lot of times people say I can't hear my intuition. I don't know like what my intuition feels like. And that's almost because we are disconnected with our body. But once we clear the mind, get into our body, you will begin to have a felt sense, whether it's a yes or no. So your body will lead the way, will tell you whether the city is right for you, whether it's the right timing to move there.
And for you, when you always move to all these new places, what was always the hardest to adjust to?
That's a really good question. I feel for me, it's not culture shock or language barrier or not even loneliness. It's disappointment. Again, each time before I move to a place, I would definitely have a vision for what this new chapter look like. So
Uh-huh.
before I moved to Vancouver, I thought I'm gonna build a new life there. I'm gonna attract love, relationship, financial
Right.
freedom, everything. And until I got there, I feel like, no, this is not what I imagined at all. The weather was tough. It was raining all the time, and I couldn't meet friends, and I couldn't find a local job. Everything was difficult. And so it was also in those moments we often question ourselves, did I really make a mistake? Is this really the right
Mhm.
move? So over the years, what I've learned, like the best way to move through is to surrender, like really let go of how things should be, how your life should look like. We just really trust life has a bigger plan, because when we develop that trust, you will begin to feel a lot of peace wherever you are.
That is so hard though. I mean, honestly, like, how do you do that? Because, like, I mean, like, isn't like your mind always like taking you back, like, hey, don't you forget what we wanted in the first place, kind of, or can you let go of that?
Yeah, that's a good question. So for a long time, I was struggling with letting go of the mind. So basically, a lot of people said you should just try meditation, and then you will feel peaceful. I tried it for a long time. It didn't really work for me until I discovered breathwork, somatic healing. I feel this really clicks with me. It's a lot faster to really quiet the mind and get into the
Mhm.
body. And the more I practice it, the more it's easier to let go of those thoughts. Maybe
Okay.
sit with those emotions. So it's a really powerful practice, and basically anyone can do that just for 5 minutes on a daily basis, and you will begin to see a big shift.
Okay, I can do breathing because like I had a few weeks ago, my one of my guests, she also had this technique, and one point was meditation. And I can do everything from that checklist of hers, but the meditation part, it's even just so hard just to get to the point because for me it's hard to just let go of my thinking.
Yeah, I
My
feel you.
brain is moving the whole time. So but breathing at least it's I think that's more doable.
Yeah, absolutely. Because meditation is kind of really challenging for a lot of people if we have a really busy mind. But then in breath work, we use special breathing patterns. So this is different than the regular breathing. And sometimes we use mouth breathing so that more energy can move out of the body. And so it can be more intense than meditation, but it's definitely more powerful. And so all people need is to use their breath to regulate their nervous system so that they can really
Mhm.
access those deeper wisdom in their body, because then we'll begin to feel more alive, more liberated, and the mind will
Okay.
naturally quiet down.
Okay. Do you go often back to China?
Yeah, that's another good question. So I did. I actually go back probably once a year just to
Mm-hmm.
visit my family. They're still in China. The hardest thing about that is the something called reverse culture shock. So this
Right.
is
Yes.
the emotional adjustment that happens when you return home after living abroad. Especially I was away from home for about 22 years. So each time I go back, I still experience some type of
Mm-hmm.
grief, and because when you left home, you realize that you will change and people also change, places
Yeah.
change. When you go home, like nothing stays the same. It also took me some time to make peace with that because I
Mm-hmm.
feel it's not about choosing one of the other because a lot of people have this feeling like I'm not connected to where I came from, but I also don't feel like I fully settled in this new place, right? So in those moments, what I feel really important is that you don't have to choose one version or the other. All of them are parts of you, and we want to embrace all of those parts and still honor your global identity. I feel eventually we're all global citizens. We don't have to define ourselves based on where we came from, where we are. This is really about moving from that structured sense of self to a more fluid sense of self.
Mm-hmm. Since your values now shifted a lot to the ones that you grew up with,
Mm.
like how is that for you? Like when you go back and you are like have now like transformed your identity.
Yeah, good question. So at beginning, I experienced a lot of frustration. I feel like now I'm this new version of me, but then the other people, they don't understand what
Yeah, yeah,
happened to me.
exactly. It's
I
like they
feel like
probably still expect you to be whatever this powerhouse in
yeah.
corporate.
Yeah, so there are a lot of disconnection at that time. I feel a lot of frustration, and it's really hard to explain that to people about what you've gone through. And so, what I've learned throughout this journey is also about letting go of that need for validation from other people. So,
Mm-hmm.
because
That's
again,
probably very important.
yeah, again, I feel a lot of those other people are just a mirror of our internal state. They actually point you about where you need to heal, where you need to free yourself from. If I expect other people to give me validation, then that probably means that I need to give myself that validation. I need to give myself that compassion. If I can offer myself that understanding, that acceptance, and then it's a lot easier to accept that people don't understand you or other people have different perspective. So nowadays, when I go home, I feel like more open. Like I feel um, this is also like a really interesting place to be because it taught me so much about my past and who I am now, and I feel like it's easier to accept.
Okay. Okay. So it's a big part of your yeah, your spiritual journey that it's easier for you to accept that they don't accept.
Yeah,
I don't know. Does
absolutely.
that make sense?
Yeah, acceptance is a really like the most important step of any transformation. Acceptance doesn't mean like giving up or giving in. It's simply just you're making peace of what is, and once you make peace with that, you can come back to a place of clarity, determine what your next action is. You don't have to waste your time and energy fighting what is. You could just focus more about what you can control, and then from there move forward.
Mhm. Mhm. And one last question though, do you plan on staying long term in New York?
To be honest, I don't know yet. I feel right now it feels like the right place to be, but I don't have a long-term plan because throughout this journey, I've learned to surrender
Yeah.
and I've learned to trust my intuition. And usually, your intuition only tells you what feels right at this moment. So I think if I take care of this moment, the future will take care of itself. I feel when the right opportunity shows up,
Right?
I will know, but for now, I feel like this is where I'm meant to be, and I will continue to stay there until one day I may get another signal from the universe.
Yeah. Yeah, well said. All right. Thank you so much for being on my podcast. And as I said earlier, like all the links to your website are in the show notes. Can you say your website one more time?
Yeah, of course. My website is tracyzhang.com. My full name, Tracy. and Zhang. So you can also find me on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. It's also Tracy Zhang Coaching. And like I said, I work with people one-on-one for 90 days so that they can build a sense of home no matter where they are. And I'm super passionate about supporting people on the same journey.
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, that was my talk with Tracy. So check out the show notes if you want to find out more about Tracy. Her link is there, but there's also like a few other episodes from previous seasons with like similar stories. So definitely always check out the show notes. You can also find my website there, my contact if you want to be a guest on my show. And also, of course, don't forget to rate this podcast if you haven't done so and tell everyone about it. Maybe you know somebody who wants to move abroad, so maybe they can listen. And while I have you here, there are also ways how to support the podcast. You can follow, please. That would be awesome. So you will never miss an episode. And then also you can rate this podcast. If you even listen on Apple Podcasts, you could just write a sentence. I feel like I haven't gotten any new reviews lately. So a new one would be awesome. And then also, if you feel extra generous, there is also Buy Me a Coffee, and you find the link to that one in the show notes as well. All right, but that's it, and I hope you have a nice week. Until then, okay, see you soon. Bye.